everyone. Welcome to Mrs. Pillai Stories. I hope you're all doing fine and enjoying life. Are you enjoying Mrs. Pillai Stories? Which one is your favorite so far? Can you write it under the comment box so I can read later? Good. Are you ready for my story today? Good. The story I'm going to tell you today is called Hansel and Gretel. Have you heard that story before? Come and listen with me. How do we begin our story? We have to open our book. Here it goes. Once upon a time, in a faraway woodland, in a little cottage, lived a dad and his two children. Hansel, a little boy, Gretel, a little girl. And they lived happily in that little cottage. Their mum passed away, so they didn't have a mum, but they were happy. They both helped their dad to get wood from the forest. They both helped to do all the jobs in the house, and they lived happily. Do you know what happened? Because there were no one to look after these children, Dad decided to marry again. So they had a stepmom. This stepmom was really not very kind. She used to make Hansel and Gretel do all the jobs, and she will sit down and just being lazy. One day, when they finished their dinner and the kids were in bed, stepmom said to the dad, "You have to get rid of your children. They are of no good. I can't feed all four of you with all the limited money that we have. Just two is fine. Send the kids to the forest. I don't want them anymore." Dad said no, but Mum convinced him to take the children to the forest. But you know what? Hansel heard everything that stepmom was saying to Dad. So he crept out of the window and got and collected some pebbles, and he put it in a little pouch and hid them in his pocket. So the next day, stepmom packed some lunch for them all and sent them to the forest to get some firewood. They were in the forest. Dad was unusually quiet. He didn't say much, but Hansel and Gretel were happy playing. Even though Hansel knew what was going to happen, Gretel didn't know. But Hansel thought, "I got it all sorted. It'll be fine." When he finished collecting all the firewoods, Dad said, "Wait here for me. I'll be right back." And Dad left to the house without taking the children. "Dad's been gone ages." Gretel said, "What happened to Dad? I want to go home now." Hansel said, "Don't you worry, darling. I will take you home safe." Hansel followed the trail of the pebbles that led him to the house. They were happy. Dad was ever so pleased to see his children, but stepmom wasn't. They lived together in the house again. Dad was happy. He was talking. But stepmom, no, she wasn't happy. So stepmom again made sure that Dad would take the children to the forest and let them stay in the forest. So again, stepmom packed the lunch, sent them off to the forest to get some more firewood. But this time she made sure she locked the windows so Gretel or Hansel can creep out of the window to get any pebbles. Hansel tried, but he couldn't because the window was locked. That's right. So next day, stepmom packed the lunch and sent them away to the forest. There was nothing else to leave for the trail. What will happen if Dad leaves them in the forest? Hansel had a plan. He took the bread out of his pocket and left the breadcrumbs all the way to leave a trail. So when Dad led them in the forest back to the house, Hansel thought, it's fine, we are safe, we can go back, we can follow the trail. But what happens to the breadcrumbs? Birds will eat them, don't they? So the birds have been eating them and there was no trail to follow back to the house. Hansel and Gretel were feeling really sad, they didn't know what to do. So they wandered off deep into the forest. And they came and found a beautiful house made of chocolates and biscuits and sweets. They were mesmerized. They said, what's this? A beautiful house. We could eat it all up. They were so hungry by this time, so they started munching the biscuits and the chocolates that the house was made of. A very old lady opened the door. What are you doing, little children? She asked. Oh, this house is beautiful. We are just eating the sweets. Come in. There are more sweets inside. Without thinking, Hansel and Gretel went inside the house. As soon as they were inside the house, the old lady turned into a wicked witch, a very old wicked witch. She couldn't see much, but she said, oh, I love eating little boys. I am going to eat you up. And you, little girl, can help me with all the chores in the house. They both got scared. Wicked Witch put the little boy, Hansel, in a cage and locked it and hung the key up. And Gretel had to do all the housework. Every day, Witch will ask, show me your little finger, boy. I want to see if you fattened up so I can eat you. And do you know what Hansel will do? He will pass on an old bone to show that it's not fat. He's not fat yet. The wicked witch fell for the trick. She thought Hansel is still thin and not fat. One day she had enough. She said, I am going to eat you up anyway. Wicked witch asked Gretel to put the oven on. She didn't know what to do. She wanted to save her brother. She said, I don't know how to on the oven. Can you show me? So the wicked witch came up. This is how you do it. And she opened the oven door. I don't know how to light it up, Gretel told the wicked witch. Oh, you are not good for anything, shouted the wicked witch. I'll show you. You just have to go in and do this. So she climbed into the oven. As soon as the wicked witch was in the oven, she closed the door and lit fire. And the wicked witch burned inside the house. So Hansel and Gretel were safe now. She opened the door for the cage and they lived in there happily. One day when they were in the forest, they saw a man crying by a tree. They went over and saw it was their dad. Dad was really sad that he left the children in the woods, so he had been crying. Hansel and Gretel were so happy to see their dad. They were so pleased, gave him a big hug and said, Dad, come and live with us. We got a house made of sweets and biscuits and chocolates, and we got lots of money. The wicked witch is not there anymore. We can live happily ever after. So they all went in and lived in the house made of sweets. Is that a good story? Would you like to live in a house made of sweets too? What about a house made of fruits? Will that be good? Anyway, that's the story of Hansel and Gretel. Did you enjoy that? Mrs. Pillai enjoyed telling you the story. When do you like listening to stories? Do you listen it as bedtime stories? Good. I hope you keep listening to Mrs. Pillai stories. Until I see you next time, it's goodbye from Mrs. Pillai. Take care. Bye-bye.